When we finally arrive, Lanthony must wait patiently tied to the jetty as preparations are still underway. Workers diligently clear debris, and a diver needs to inspect the dock's foundations, ensuring everything is safe and ready for Lanthony's entry. This unexpected pause is the perfect moment to have a quick look around Lanthony before heading on shore. It also means I have some time to explore Huck's boatyard and chalet. A site buzzing with renewal. Around every corner, there are signs of restoration in progress, breathing new life into the historic space. There's an energy here, a quiet determination to blend tradition with the future, making every detail count. It's clear that Huck's boatyard isn't just returning, it's stepping forward, ready to embrace a fresh chapter in its storied history. Tucked away along a quiet stretch of the River Thames, near the grandeur of Hampton Court Palace, lies a place steeped in stories. Once known as Hampton Riviera Marina, this historic site is beginning a new, more hopeful chapter, reclaiming its original name and spirit, Huck's Boatyard. At its heart stands the Swiss Chalet, a striking Grade 2 listed building with steep gables, timber balconies, and a fairy tale spirale. Originally crafted in Switzerland and brought to the Thames in 1882, it was assembled as an ornate garden retreat for the grand estate of Riverholme. Over time, it became the soul of a working boatyard. First O'Hagan's, and later the much-loved Hucks. Run by the Hucks family for most of the 20th century, the boatyard was a fixture of the local boating community until it quietly closed its doors in 1996. A brief revival in 2009 brought it back to life, but only for a moment. In 2011, the site was bought by an ambitious architect who rebranded it Hampton Riviera and sold luxury houseboats with the promise of permanent moorings. But the dream was built on shaky ground. In 2024, he was convicted of a £3.5 million fraud, misleading buyers and breaching trust. Now, the tide is turning. Under new and careful ownership, the site is returning to its roots. Huck's Boatyard is back, its name, its legacy, and its purpose restored. The boatyard and the chalet are undergoing extensive renovations, a full return to a working boatyard and a chalet restored not just as a landmark, but as a place to stay, a rare gem for those seeking something truly special on the river. Rooted in tradition, rebuilt for the future, Huck's Boatyard is being reborn, and once again, the sounds of boat building, the rhythm of the river, and the stories of generations will echo along the banks of the Thames. After John and Wade from JD Riverside Construction carefully lift and set aside the heavy gate, attention shifts to the diver. Before suiting up fully, there's a brief consultation, a final clarification about his objectives underwater. Once zipped into his diving suit and equipped with all necessary gear, he moves purposefully down to the jetty's end.
It's just basic to check along the seal of the dock where the gate's going to go up against it. Obviously being the Thames, there's a lot of mud and silt, so we'll clear that away and just allow this gate to close properly against the sill itself.
Awesome.
Then I'll have a quick look around here, just make sure there's no large objects in the actual channel leading up to the dry dock.
Okay.
And hopefully that's it.
He meticulously lays out his gear, inspecting each piece carefully as a small crowd begins to gather, intrigued by his preparations.
You might have to give it a bit of thrust. If he's on that.
After final discussions concluded and the diver confirmed the dock was safe, all attention turned to bringing Lanthony carefully into the dry dock. A sense of anticipation was in the air. This wasn't a routine docking. The low water level presented an immediate challenge. She'd have to enter gently and deliberately. Captain Huck, steady at the wheel, carefully maneuvered Lanthony into position. He first reversed her, aligning her hull with precision alongside the nearby barge. This path represented the deepest channel available, essential given the tight clearance beneath her keel. Wade, from JD Riverside Construction, positioned himself strategically in a canoe on the opposite bank, ready to prevent any unwanted contact with the dock walls, guiding her in at just the right angle. Inch by inch, Lanthony's bow crept slowly into the dry dock, guided by careful hand signals and clear instructions from John, the new owner of Huck's Boatyard. The atmosphere was thick with concentration. Everyone understood the stakes. Midway into the dock, Lanthony suddenly stopped, seemingly caught on an unseen obstacle below the surface. The tension rose slightly as Captain Huck quickly assessed the situation. After brief consultation, they swiftly decided to attach ropes securely to Lanthony's bow. The strategy was straightforward, but required teamwork and precise execution. From the bow while gently applying engine power, guiding her forward onto the waiting keel blocks. Steve and John provided the initial muscle, pulling together to inch her further forward. Progress was slow, painstaking, each movement. Despite their efforts, resistance from beneath persisted, compounded by the limited water depth. Undeterred, the team added another rope to the center of her bow, creating a coordinated effort involving Captain Huck and Steve. A final synchronized push was needed. With a combination of careful engine thrust, muscle power, and strategic guidance, Lanthony finally glided fully into position. dock walls surrounded her securely, a testament to patience, teamwork, and expert seamanship. As the ropes were secured and the immediate tension faded, smiles and sighs of relief filled the dock. Phase 1 was complete. Lanthony was safely docked. It was clearly time to pause and celebrate the successful maneuver. The team took a well-deserved break, gathering around fresh pizza to recharge and reflect on the day's accomplishment. With pizza devoured and spirits lifted, the team turned their focus to the next task, reinstating the dock gate. They'd done it several times before during the cleanup, but this time, with Lanthony safely inside, everything felt higher stakes. What had once been a familiar task now required extra care. The dock's shifting conditions, the weight of the gate, and the precision needed to slot it back into place turned the job into a measured and methodical operation. Everyone took their positions as the gate edged forward, guided by steady hands and sharp eyes, slow, patient, deliberate. But it wasn't going to be easy. Something unseen was blocking its path. Several attempts came up short, and with Lanthony's stern just inches from the crane still holding the gate, tension mounted. The diver was called back into the murky water, slipping beneath the surface to investigate. The challenge had become one of coordination. Every inch mattered. With Lanthony in such close quarters, brute force wasn't an option. This was about timing, about trust. The diver, the crane, the crew, each movement was a cue in a silent choreography. Eventually, persistence won. A final, careful nudge brought the gate home. Bolts were locked, timbers braced, the dry dock was sealed. No fanfare, just the deep exhale of a team who understood what they'd achieved. Lanthony was in, the dock was closed, and now the draining of the dock could begin. As the draining began, Lanthony slowly settled into position, but finding her balance on the keel and bilge blocks was anything but simple. Steve and the team adjusted and readjusted, guiding her by feel and instinct. But the hours ticked by and the light began to fade. With the sun dipping behind the houseboats and her position still not quite right, a decision had to be made. They would pause and return in the morning. And so, as golden light spilled across the yard, Lanthony came to rest, imperfectly cradled, but safe. The dock fell quiet. The resident goose returned to his post. The day was done. Lanthony stood calmly in the fading light, and the spring night settled in around them. Morning broke softly over Huck's Boatyard. When I arrived just after 6:30 a.m., the mist was still rising from the river, and the dock was already alive with quiet motion. Steve and his team were back at it, methodical, focused. Lanthony stood quietly in the center of it all, calm, watchful, waiting. The struts were being rechecked and repositioned, one by one, on either side of her hull. Everything had to be perfect. A matter of inches, a matter of weight, a matter of trust. There was no rushing this. While they worked, I wandered for a moment. The morning sun crept gently across the wooden beams, of the old Swiss chalet. The chalet itself seemed to stretch and exhale with the dawn. Back at the dock, Lanthony had settled a little more, and with each small adjustment, she became more certain, less hesitant. The struts now held her confidently, and it was time to lower the water again. A slow stream began to trickle out, lowering her inch by inch. Then another round of checks, another strut added, then again and again. As the level dropped further, the rudder came into view. Then the twin propellers. It was like watching something be slowly revealed rather than merely drained. Once she was fully grounded and the dock nearly dry, the final sluice was opened at the bow. The last of the river poured away, leaving Lanthony cradled on her blocks, still, steady, supported. And just like that, the moment of tension passed. The tools were packed away. The final checks ticked off. Lanthony was at last secure. While the team busied themselves with tidying up, I found myself drawn into a very different kind of task. Otto had discovered a rogue buoy and was determined to make it part of our morning routine. Who was I to argue? Around us, the boatyard returned to calm. 2 days of effort, precision, patience, and now a job well done. As I took one final look back, Lanthony rested in the dry dock like a queen in waiting. Around her, Huck's boatyard settled into a quiet hum once more, its echoes of industry giving way to the stillness of the river. And with that, it was time to go. Until next time.